Hello, so in this video, let's take a quick look at question 4. The following is pseudocode for a string handling function or built-in function list referred to the appendix on page 16. So this is the algorithm that we have for this function. Whatever it is doing, we'll figure out as we go through each line of code. Okay, so the function is function search. That's the name of the function. Takes in the parameter in string, okay, which is of data type string, and returns an integer. Okay, so you can confirm this by going just at the very bottom of the function. You will see that it returns selected, and if you go to where selected was declared, you see that it was declared as an integer. So that's why it returns an integer. Okay, so then you've got a couple of variables that have been declared here. New string declared as string, and then index declared as integer. Next character is declared as character, and then selected a new value declared as integer. And then you've got some initialization which is taking place here. New string has been initialized to 0, although this is the string value of 0 because of the quotes around it. So it's not a numerical value, even though it appears as though it's a number, but because of the quotes, it actually is a string. Then you have got selected, which has been initialized to 0. Okay, this is purely a number. And then you've got the loop, and the loop loops from the index value, looping from 1 to length. Okay, so this is the length of the string. So again, this is a string handling function. We'll be able to figure out what it is doing on page 16 when we look at the appendix. But in a nutshell, this is just returning the length of the string. So if you provide a string of 5 characters, this one length will return the numeric value 5, and then the loop will go 1 to 5. Okay, and then next character is a string, and this one is next character, rather it's a character. It basically just gets uses the mid function to extract a specific character from a string. Okay, so it takes in 3 parameters. The first one is a string, and then the second one is the index, in this case, which is the starting position, and then the last one is the number of characters that you want to retrieve. So in this case, if the index is 1, then in string will be in string comma 1 comma 1, which is basically returning the first character in your string. Okay, and then the next line, if next character is less than string 0 or next character is greater than string 9. So this one basically is checking if the character that you've picked up, which will be maybe a string. Remember, a string is simply a collection of multiple characters. So you can compare the character here with this string character here. Okay, so remember also that numbers, all numbers are actually made up of digits 0 to 9. So any number you can make it as a result of combining these digits to 0 to 9. So we can compare string characters, for example, string character 0 and another string character 0 would be the same. Okay, we will illustrate this in a short while. Okay, and then if this evaluates to true, then we are saying that get the new value. In other words, this line is testing, the one with the if statement is testing whether the character that we have retrieved from the string is actually a number, and if it's not, rather not a number, but if it's like a non-numeric digit. In other words, if it's a non-numeric digit, then we can try to convert the string that we have so far, which is the new string, and convert it to number. And then here we're checking if the new value that we get after converting that new string to number is actually greater than the value selected, which is in this first case is 0. And then if it is, then we swap them. So we, in our way, selected now become the greatest. We assign new value to selected. Okay, and then if it is not, okay, if it is not greater, then new string is initialized to the string value 0, and then else then we append the new character to the existing new string. Okay, and basically that's what we have. It will probably make more sense when we start to go over the code. Okay, so on the right hand side here, I just did an extract of the next question, part of the question here, so that I don't have to scroll up and down. I want them to be side by side. So the next part says the following assignment calls the search function, and then this is how you call the function. You call it with a variable name result, and then is assigned the value of the function, and then you pass in some parameters that the function is, or some argument that the function is actually expecting. So in this case, we pass in a string, and the string is 1, 2, and then that shape or that symbol, 3, 4, symbol, 5, symbol, and 3, 9. Complete the following trace table by performing a dry run on this function call. The symbol, this one, represents a space character. So this symbol, I use this symbol to represent a space character in the trace table. Okay, where there is supposed to be space, we'll actually put this this character. Okay, good. So first things first, when you're working with trace tables, the first line of thing that you want to do is to perform initialization of values that have been, and they always do that. The first thing that you want to do is to look through your algorithm and find out, are there any places where variables have been initialized? And that's what you want to do first. So if we go through our algorithm, we'll see that new string and selected have actually been initialized. And so we need to give them values. So let's go ahead and give them values. So selected will be 0. So I'm just going to type 0 somewhere there. And I see new string as well as be initialized to 0. Okay. So notice selected is actually a numeric value, but new string is actually a string. So we're going to add some quotes around it because it is a string. Okay, just like that. Okay, so the next thing that we'll need to do is to go now into the where the program would run. So actually, after your variable initialization, your program control is actually at this line of code. Okay, so let's try to get something here. So your program control is somewhere. Let's pick here. The program control is somewhere here. Okay, and then we need to dry run the code from there. So the first one will be the loop. Okay, so will be for index is assigned the value of 1 to length, and then the value the in string, which is in this case the in string value we've passed is this one here. Okay, so we've passed this value as our in string, this one here. So I'm just going to erase it so that it doesn't interfere. Okay, so that's the value that we've passed. So then the first value of index, the first value of index will be 1. Okay, because that's the lowest value that index will look to. Notice index is a number. Okay, we initialize it as a number, so we don't have to put it in quotes. Only values that we initialize as integers or character do we have to put in quotes. We'll put single quotes for characters and double quotes for strings. Okay, so that is done. So when the value of index is 1, so we are here. So we are saying that next character will be mid in string, which is the same string that we have here, the whole lot of it. And then index is 1 and comma 1. So it will be 1, 1, which is 1, 1. Mid string 1, 1 is basically just the first character. So for next character, the next character to pick is just put something like that. Single quote 1, 1, or 1, not 1, 1, just 1, like that. That will be the next character that we pick up. Okay, that will be the first character, which is a 1 from the list here. Remember, the number is let me just put it here. The number is 1, 2, and so the 1, 1 is simply just a 1. It means get a 1. So if you have a string and then you have got the function mint here, and then like this, string 1,1 basically just gives you the first position. If you want the second position, this will be 2,1. If you want the third position, this will be 3,1. Fourth position, this will be 4,1, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what's happening there. So then the value of selected, we haven't yet reached selected. So what we do is we go, let's see where we're here. Now we check if the next character is less than 0 or next character is greater than 0, the string values. So we notice that next character is string value 1 and or character value 1 if you want. So it's not equal. So this evaluates to false. The moment it evaluates to false, the only thing that will happen is that it is the else part that will take place. So we go to the else part, which is this one here. So I don't want the pain now. Okay, so now we go to the else part, which is this section here. So what we're going to do is just new string is assign the new value of new string concatenated with next character. So this means that new string value is is 0 like this as a string. So when we concatenate it with the next character, which is this one, so we just basically have 0 and a 1 and like that. So we are concatenating this value here, next character, with the value of new string there. Okay. Then you go to endif, end4, and return, and then the function ends. But because this is a loop, it has to look for the number of times the length of the string is. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 characters. So this will loop 11 times. Okay. So you expect to see the maximum index value go to 11, and the minimum will be just a 1. So the next index value will be 2. So we'll go here and put 2. And from 2, the next character will be 2,1. So remember, index is 2, so it will be 2,1 here, and we're picking up the second character. So the second character is 2, so we'll pick 2. We'll just say 2. And then selected. So again, we compare 2 with the literal values 0 and the character value 9. So we compare these and see. And eventually we would notice that they actually evaluate to false because they are not the same. So if it's false, then which means we don't put anything here. As usual, we'll skip all these lines here. We'll skip them because they are not being executed. The control hasn't gone inside these lines of code because the statement above is false. So these lines of code will not be executed. It is the else part which will be executed. So for the else part, we'll execute this one, which is basically get your new string and concatenate the next character to the new string. Okay, so the new string is, the last new string was 0, 1, and then the new character, next character is 2. So we can concatenate 0, 1, and 2 together. So we'll have something like string 0, 1, 2, and that's what we're going to have as our next new string. Okay. You continue going through the same process. So you have next character, next index will be 3. Okay, next index will be 3. And from 3, we have the third one is this shape. Okay, so because I don't know how to draw it, so let's see if I can draw it. It's this funny looking shape. Okay, but make sure that it is in quotes as well because it is a character. Okay, like that. And then so that's the third character, which is this one. And selected, now we are comparing this shape. So this shape, is this one less or next character greater than 9? Now this one evaluates to true, and this is that this kind of statement, it is actually testing whether the next character is actually a digit or numeric digit. Okay. what is happening is that a number is actually made up of digits. Any number is made up of digits from 0 to 9. A combination of any of these digits can actually give you any number you can think of in the world. And so what we are testing there, if it's less than 0, then we are saying that this is not necessarily a digit. If it's greater than 9, it's not a digit, because any number greater than 9 could be like 10, 11, 12, and if it's treated as a single number, then it is like 10. Then it's not necessarily a digit. Okay, it's not a digit because it's made up of two digits, 1 and the 0. So that's what this line of code is testing, checking whether we have a digit or if it's not a digit. So a shape is not a digit. The shape that we have is not a digit. In this case, space would not be considered as a digit. Okay. So this statement we eventually evaluate to false, and then we'll have to go inside the loop. Okay. So when you go inside the loop, we try to convert using the string to num function. So if you go back, or let's go down to the appendix and find out some of the functions that have been used and what they are basically doing. So we have string to num. So this one, string to num function, it basically takes in a string and it returns a real number. So for example, if it takes in a string such as this one, a number which is a string such as 23.45, it returns the absolute numeric value, which is 23.45, like that. So if it's in a number such as 012, which is a string, it should return the actual number, which is a number in this case which does not start with 012. Remember, you cannot write a number such as 012. Why would you write a number such as 012? Only a string in string representation would say 0 is significant here for us to show it. Okay, we don't show a number in front like this when the 0 actually becomes insignificant in this case, unless the 0 was supposed to be at the far end that side, then it's significant. We need to show it. Okay, so in our case, we're not going to show the zeros. So when we convert the string value 0, 1, 2, when we convert this to numeric digit, this one is going to be dropped because now we have a number. So now we will come back to this one. Another function that we may need to look at is mid. So mid, we said it takes in a string, and then this one is the starting position, and this one is the ending number of characters that you want. Okay, so this is, for example, a string such as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, F, and the starting position is 2, and you return only 3 characters. It will return BCD, which is BCD, second, third, and fourth characters. Okay. Then another one was the ampersand, which is being used for concatenation. So this is just joining. So if you join, for example, summer and space, then you're going and then ampersand pudding, it produces summer pudding. Okay. So that is that. And the last one is length. And so length just takes in a string and it returns an integer. So it represents the length or number of characters contained in a string. And in this case, Happy Days returns 10 because there are 10 characters in Happy Days. Okay. So these are the different string manipulation functions that we have. Okay. So let's go back to our question paper, our question 4. And now we are here. So we go inside the condition statement, and then we have what should happen if it's true, if it's false, or if it's true rather. New value should be assigned the value of string to num. So we get new string, which is 0, 1, 2, and convert it to number, which becomes 12, and that becomes the value of new value. The new value here becomes 12. So we'll put 12. Okay, and then also it's possible that we can use the same line here to also give the value to selected, because the new value is before I get there, I want to go ahead of myself. If new value is greater than selected, selected, the initial value is 0. That's the initial value for selected. So we're saying that let me just remove that. Okay, we're saying that the value of selected is 0. So we're saying is 12 greater than 0, which is true. If it's true, then we're saying that get the new value, which is a 12, and assign it to selected. So selected also becomes 12. So instead of writing this 12 here, we have already skipped this line. So this 12 is coming after this line of code. So instead of writing it in the same line, because remember, program statement flow from one line to the other. So it is this first line that is executed, then followed by this next line that will be executed, then followed by this next line that will be followed by this next line. So there is sort of a sequence that is being followed that is happening. So we can come and put then 12 here. We need to put it in the next line to follow the sequence. So that will be 12. The selected value is assigned the value of 12 as well. And then I need just to remove these. I don't want them to be like that. Let's see, move that and remove that. Okay. Okay. So that is that. So the next thing that we need to do now is, after we are here, end if we reinitialize new string now to 0, the string value 0, and then else we say, now the else part won't be executed because in this case we went inside the loop, so the else will be skipped. It's one of the two can only be executed. So it's either you execute this part or you execute this part. You cannot execute them both. Okay, that's the condition that is there. So in our case, we have executed the top part, which is the true part. Now we won't execute the else part. So we skip that and we'll go to the next line of code. So the next line of code, of course, well, we skip this one. We need to initialize new string to 0. So this one, new string now becomes, the next value will become 0. Like that. Okay, so that should be fine. In one run, we should have something like this. So somebody would say, but Evans, why wouldn't we put these in one line? I mean, wouldn't it look nice if we just put them in one line? Well, it's fine to put them in one line. I would still give you marks for that, but sometimes to make the work look neat or easy to understand nowadays would be an ideal state. So it's not wrong that you put this value here in the same line as this one, just in case you did that and you're wondering whether it's wrong or not. Okay. So new string has been initialized to 0, so we get that value. And next one we go to is index will be 4. So the value of index is 4. So the fourth character from the list is 3. So next character to be fetched will be digit 3, string value 3 rather, or character value, whichever way you want to call it, but it's not a numerical, it's not an absolute number. And then so you return that. So when it's 3, of course we know that whenever we have the only time we can get inside this loop is when we have a non-digit number, like a space in this case. That's the only time. So you need to identify early on which pattern gets you into the loop and which pattern does not get you into the loop and skips straight into the else statement. So in our case, the pattern that gets us into the loop is when we have a symbol. When we don't have a symbol, we won't even go inside the loop. So you don't even need to waste time. So this is not a symbol. You don't even need to think twice. Just know that these two parts which are happening inside the loop, which is this one here and this one here, these which are happening inside the loop and this one here will not take place, will not be affected. So we'll skip these 3 and then we'll just go to new string, which is this one, the last one, and we'll append the 3 that we've the next, which is the next character, we append it to the new string. That's what this line of statement is actually saying. So we'll put it like this. So it will be quote 03 like that. Okay. Then next character to pick will be a 4. So index will be 5 here. Remember, index is coming from the loop, so it will be 5. The next character to be picked will be 4. So we just say 4. And then again, because it's not space, in this case, we'll just keep this line and we'll go to this one and append the new string that we had, which is 03. We'll append 03 and then we append 4 to it. And basically that's what this one is all about. Okay. Then go to 5, index goes to 6. Index goes to 6. And then from 6, we have the 6th character is that shape. Okay, so now comes the space. Okay, and notice the moment we have the space, we're saying that now we can get inside the loop. And then now when we get inside the loop, we convert the last new string value, which is this one, new string. So we convert now the new string, which is this value that we have in the brackets. We convert it to a number and then store that value inside new value. So the value is 034, convert it to a number and store it in new value. It will be, in this line of code, it will be 34. Okay, so convert it here, it will be 34. Okay, as a number. Then the next line of code, the same value, we're saying if new value is greater than selected, which is 34 is greater than 0, selected is, in this case, selected is 12. The last value of selected was 12. So 34 is greater than 12, so which means we switch the value. So we say new value is now assigned the value of selected, or rather selected is assigned the value of new value. So put here 34. Okay, like that. And then we initialize here, new string is initialized to 0 once more. So this would be 0. Okay, and that should happen. Okay, like that. Okay, good. Then the next loop will go to 7. What happens at character number 7? So character number 7 in our list is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is a 5. So we'll put a 5 here. We'll say 5. And then from here we say so because this is a number, again, we don't even enter the loop. I mean, this is a string number, we won't enter the loop, so we'll skip everything here and we'll append the value to the new list. So it will be this one, 05. Okay, that's the pattern that we have. The next one will go to 8. So when it's 8, we're saying that the symbol is this one. So we have again the symbol, again put it in quotes, and then the value that we should have now is let's put it here. So selected, now if we go inside, we'll check. So new string is 05. Okay, 05, that's a new string. So we'll convert new string to a number, which will become just 5. Okay, so new string here, new value becomes 5. But the value of selected here, so we check new value, which is 5 greater than selected. The last value for selected, was 34. So 5 is not greater than 34. So that means that we don't even go inside this if statement. So we just go otherwise and reinitialize the last value here to 0. Okay, initialize new string to 0. And you keep on doing this. You keep on repeating this over and over and over and over. Okay, I may not have the time to go over it. I'm about to have a class shortly, but let's just see how far I can go before that happens. So the next one is 9. Next index will be 9. and then from 9, you have 9, and then 9. The 9 symbol is space again, so that shouldn't be an issue. We know what happens when we have a space. So just put that. Pardon my drawing using a mouse. Okay, so that's our shape. Again, when we are inside the shape, we know that the next value now will be new value. We get what is contained in a new string, which is the 0, and we pass it on to convert it to a number, so it will become 0. So new value becomes 0. So let's type 0 here, like that. And then next we check if the new value is greater than selected. The last value of selected was 34. 0 is not greater than 34. So again, we skip this line and again initialize the 0, because that's what this next line says. After we skip it, we initialize new string to 0. So this one will become 0. This one will become 0. Okay, so this is going on well. Okay, so the next one is supposed to be number 10. So number 10, index 10. So when the index is 10, the number is 3. Number is 3. And then we need to check. So again, because this is a number, again, let's put this in quotes. Single quote there and single quote there. Because this is a number, we won't even go inside inside the loop, okay? Or not the loop, but inside the condition statement. It evaluates to false, so we'll skip and go to the else part. So we'll go to the else part and just append this one. So this one will become 03, 03, like that. And then the last one would be 11, I think. 11, and then for 11, it's 9. The value is 9. So let's say 9. And from 9, then we have, again, we won't even go inside the condition statement. We'll just go straight to the else, and it will be appending, or concatenating 03 plus 9, which is 39, like that. Okay, and there you have with your your trace table produced. Okay, so examiners will be looking forward to marking your each column. So marks are marked per column and not necessarily per row. So index column will be marked separately, next character will be marked separately, selected will be marked separately, and so on and so forth. Okay. Notice that I didn't have to be repeating the values for 12, because here in this line, this line, this line, this line, the value of 12 remained, the value of selected remained the same. And then in this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, and everything, the value of selected remained the same as 39. Okay. So let's quickly look at some of the questions that are there. So state the value returned by the function when it is called as shown in part A. Okay, so we need to look at what function is returned. So if we go to the question, the function is returning selected. Okay, so you can't just pick new string and say, oh, because it was the last value, so I pick up this one and it returns 039. No, you look at the return value for the function. So the function is returning selected. So you go to here and you look at the last value for selected. And you notice that the last value for selected was 34. So just put 34 as your value here, 34. The next part of the question, there's an error in the algorithm. When called as shown in part A, the function did not return the largest value as expected. In other words, we expected it to return the largest value as 39, but it returned 34. Explain why this error occurred when the program called the function. Okay, so the error could have occurred because we never went through the last time when we had the function, when we had the new string value 039. We didn't go through this function to assign the new value to selected. okay, because the program had a not a wrong condition. It's not necessarily a wrong condition, but the program, the way we wrote it is that or the way they wrote it, we didn't write this program. The way they wrote it is that this condition here, not this one here for the if statement, can only get inside there if we have a numeric or non-number or space or something like that. But in this case, we needed it to put in such a way that maybe the last thing that we do is to have the space at the end, so that at the end of the number, such as this one, at the end of this number, we can have maybe some space at the end here, so that we can go inside the loop and assign the last value for new string, assign it to selected here. Okay, we need to pass the new string here, which is this one here. We need to pass it on to selected here. Okay, so that was the error that was there. So okay, describe how the algorithm could be amended to correct the error. So basically, if you want to correct this error, you can either, I mean, there may be two ways of doing this, but I prefer that when you perform your initialization here, just before, just after selected, you can add always append space to the last thing. So what you do is you have something like this. Let me see, what can I say? Can I use want something I can write to? Okay, I think let me just go. I think I wrote a program to do this in a particular language. Maybe I can show you from there. Do I have that language? Let's see, VB, Visual Basic. I think should be this one. So I decided to write a program just to do this, maybe so that we can see the values and how the values are going to be returned. Okay. Okay, yeah, so that's the program I wrote. I know perhaps you may be programming in Python, but the concept is the same. I could have translated this program into Python as well, but the problem is that my Python wasn't running on my computer, so I didn't have the time to start, reinstalling it and stuff like that. But for now, I just decided to write it in Visual Basic because it was readily available. Okay, so what I did as a solution to this, I just decided to change my text that the user gives me into this, and then I put some space at the end of the text. Okay, so my in string, I put text. So whatever I get from the user here from my function, I actually add some space at the end there. So I'm just going to put a comment here and run this program and show you how it is working. So I'm going to input all the character spacings, the values that we talked about in the question paper. So let me just bring up the question paper and see if I can have this side by side. And then the values that were in the question paper are these ones. So let's put in the first one is 1, the next one is 2. Then for V, I'll put space, or we can put something like, since it's just a symbol, we can put that, and then we'll have 3, 4, V, and then 5, VV, and 3, 9. Okay, so we can have something like that, and then hit enter, and there you go. It actually displays the values as they're supposed to be displayed. Okay, the symbol and so on and so forth. But notice that the last value for selected is printed as 34. So I actually printed selected as 34. But this is what the error is all about. It's not taking into consideration the 039 that is there. So to remove that error, what I decided to do is just to add a new text, a new line of code, and I put I just put some space. Okay, so I get the text that the user gives me. I concatenate and add another text. In this case, just a space character there. When I run this one now, just stop it and run it again, and I'll enter the same values once again. So just come here and I'll enter the same values, 1, 2, V, and then I'll have, let's try space this time, 1, 2, space, and then I have 3, 4, space, and then I have 5, space, and I have after 5 2 spaces and then 3 9. Okay, and then hit enter key, and notice I still have, but the last value for selected now is 39 after I do that. Okay, so that's a solution that you can put. So just perhaps just add some space to that line of code. Okay, so I guess I have to rush away and prepare for the next class that is coming up. But that's what you had to do about this question. Okay, so all the best in your exam, and I'll see you in future videos.